Yeah, yeah.
I would too.
Yeah, plus, like Doug was saying, I think the film's veered off in a direction where the center was the Cenobites, and that was not his intention.
Yeah, exactly.
So he probably lost interest.
Yep, unfortunately. Clive Barker does not make too many public appearances anymore.
No, he doesn't. I think he's had some health issues.
Yeah, I think that's the issue.
Yeah, yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, it is, but I guess he lives in LA and
Yeah, I mean, he was very good in front of an audience.
yeah.
He really works an audience really well.
Oh, have you seen him
Yeah,
live?
many times.
I
photographed
didn't
him many
realize.
times.
Oh gosh, yeah,
He's an incredible, has an incredible presence.
yeah.
You know, it's too bad his sickness is preventing him from,
Yeah,
rumored to be HIV positive. Rumored, so.
yeah, and the health issues that
Yeah, I
come
can't
along
confirm
with
any of
that.
No, I don't want to spread a rumor. So.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, I wouldn't spread it past that.
yeah, exactly.
But
So.
the first time I did it, was an autograph signing from Wienholz.
Yes,
And I did the books of blood.
yes.
And he came in and he was wearing his shirt. It was all dapper, and that was not what I expected from somebody who wrote the books of blood.
Yeah, when I first read the books of blood, of course there's that famous blurb on it from Stephen King, yeah. But I've seen the future for it. You ready? Well, our last panel for the 10th anniversary of Sinister Creature Con on this Sunday, June 22nd, 2025, is one that is a very important one because this one involves independent horror. And we're going to discuss independent horror. Now, for those of you who are not sure what indie horror, you may have some idea, but indie horror is actually the term that's used for genre content like novels, short stories, films, and even podcasts and special effects, and haunt attractions that are created and published without the involvement of an established publishing house or a film studio. Romero, Carpenter, Raimi, Craven literally made their bones making independent horror films. Authors like Ania Alborn, Gemma Moore, and Chad Lutzke have found mainstream success with self-publishing. And special effect artists such as Rick Baker and Greg Nicotero, they honed their craft on indie film projects. If you think about haunt attractions, Hollywood Horror Nights and Not Scary Farm can find their roots in the independent haunt industry that fuels their attractions. Today we're going to explore the world of indie horror with 4 members of that community. I want you to please welcome filmmaker and podcaster and the creator of the Horrific Network, Jim Wienholz, Hall of Fame horror hostess, self-published author, and indie filmmaker, Miss Misery, the brilliant special effects artist, Dan Acosta, and the creator of one of Northern California's premier haunt attractions, Higbee Horror Haunt, John Scott. Yeah, guys. All right, first of all, I want to welcome you. I want to welcome you to our indie horror panel. God, I can't talk today. It has been it's been a long day. Actually, that kind of thing would probably take place in indie horror. So, indie horror is often where the new trends in horror are created. You know, take the Blair Witch Project as an example. Creators of independent horror have no filters and they have greater control over their content. They're usually lifelong horror fans. How did each of you get started producing your own brand of horror? Jim, we'll just go down the line.
That's a good question. So my journey kind of started as a podcast, and two friends and I would drink and watch one of the worst reviewed movies we could find, and then give thoughts on it. And didn't have to be horror, but usually it was, and because people love shitting on horror movies, my God. And we would pretty much go to bat for the movie, and then if it was bad, we would obviously say it was bad. But it snowballed into getting guests eventually wanting to, have a book, or they were in a movie, or they may have an event that was coming up, and they wanted to promote it, and that was exciting to get to talk to people every week. And at one point I had said, I've had this idea for a movie, and the director I was interviewing was, you're never going to make it unless you just make it, so you should just go make it. And we crowdfunded and we made a movie, and it had some festival success, but watching it now, it's shitty. But it did give
Thank you, Jim. I was the star of that movie.
But it did get me into film school. Like it did, make me want to learn the craft and understand and, make something. And you, Charlie, have been in way better things I have made. So thank you.
I have. I did get some good reviews for my performance, I might add.
Yeah. But yeah, it was really about just starting, honestly. Horror has always been in my life, so that was the first, choice, and that,
Yeah. Miss Misery?
It was my first year of college. Now, I grew up always loving horror. I'm a goth girl. I grew up with Goosebumps and Tales from the Crypt, great Saturday morning horror cartoons, and monsters, Tales from the Dark Side every Saturday night at 1 a.m. But even though I wrote and wanted to be Jamie Lee Curtis when I grew up, and went to acting classes and did commercials when I was younger, and did extra acting and things, I just didn't take it seriously until I hit my first year of college, when I helped on a friend's film, and then helped him on his next, and then his next, and then his next. He never finished one. He always had to start over. He always had to rewrite. He always had. So I kept going until I said one day, I can do this myself. Why am I not? So I wrote a short script. I got my friends together, wrote something really quick, filmed at a friend's house for like 3 days in a row. It will never see the light of day, but I did it, and it felt good. And from there, it was a snowball effect. I was writing, I was directing short films, and then I met my husband, and it was, how am I going to get my foot in the door? And that's when I created Horror Hostess Miss Misery, in order to do interviews at conventions to meet as many people as I could in the genre. And since then, it's been 2 television shows, producing, screenwriting, acting. I'm an author of 40-plus books. I'm my own publisher now. And I've done comic books, and I'm trying to remember everything I do because I have insomnia and I'm tired because I do so much. But like, you just do it. Like you said, you want it, it will happen. You just got to do it. So yeah, that's basically in a nutshell.
I think that seems to be a theme that runs through
Oh, yes.
independent horror.
Oh yeah.
Dan, how about you?
Mine's not so basic. I was never into horror. In fact, it used to scare the hell out of me quite a bit. I was probably in 4th or 5th grade. That's a time when parents would leave you alone in the house, and you didn't have anything other than TV and your own imagination to get by. So I used to walk down to the local video store and I would buy horror movies. And we had this big lazy boy, and I'd push it into the kitchen where we had a side TV. And I would go grab a butcher knife, and I would sit in the chair because I was scared, because, you know, I didn't know any better. Yeah, yeah. And I'd force myself to watch these horror movies. I want to say it was probably maybe the fourth or fifth one that kind of made me realize how silly I was being. You know, I was like, oh, okay, whatever. It's just a movie. It's not real. You know, they're kind of funny and they're really not that scary after a while, you know. And then my friends were like into D&D, and I tried to get into D&D, and the only thing I liked about D&D was doing the artwork. I liked the stories, I liked that fun stuff, but playing the game was really boring to me. So I just drew everybody's characters or their maps or whatever. And then I got into Grim Reaper's Death. So I just started drawing tons and tons of those. Then I didn't do anything afterwards with horror for years. And then I want to say it was around 2012 is when I started getting into the industry, and I didn't know I wanted to be in the industry until it happened. So yeah, I wasn't like, hey, I'm going to do this and this and this and this. It was kind of like I was in a situation where it was around me, and I was meeting people that were in it, and I actually started becoming I worked at cons as a handler, as an escort, and that kind of stuff, and I figured, well, hey, if I meet all these celebrities, maybe I got to weigh in, right? Well, 3.5 years later, I find out that's not how it works. You need producers and directors or people who are funding the films, kind of a thing. And usually when you get to a celebrity, like events like this, they're already established. They already have their crews and stuff like that. So the only thing you really get out of them is tips and stuff like that, which is not wrong. But yeah, I just like I said, 2013, 2012 is when I fell into it. I went to do a photo shoot. I was going to learn how to do glam because I didn't know how to do glam, and the person who was taking me was a glam artist. And I get there to the studio, and it was for Sony, and she goes, okay, go do your thing. And I'm like, what do you mean do my thing? She said, go make that girl look dead. And I said, well, I thought I was here to learn. And she goes, no, because I figured if I told you, you would get, it was my first time doing it. Anyway, long story short, I did it, fell in love with it, and been doing it since.
All right. John, how about you?
For me, it probably started with Haunted Mansion at Disneyland, actually. Going through that, I immediately became attached to it. And then in even being younger, decorating the house, you know, at home for Halloween was always like one fun thing to look forward to. And then 2010, actually I'll go back a little further. 2007, I went to an event called Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Studios and Not Scary Farm. And that kind of opened up my world of like haunting and going through haunted attractions. And it was like, oh wow, this is like super cool. And I always wanted to be involved in building attractions because of Disneyland and everything. So it kind of opened up that opportunity. And then in 2010 is when I started home haunting. And so created a home haunt through the backyard, had people come through. It was the first time with actors and everything. And just like everyone else, kind of snowballed, kind of created something, just started rolling and started picking up traction. And now I'm doing it professionally, so.
That's cool. I'd like each of you to tell us about the creative freedom that you have in creating independent horror projects.
I mean, when you make your own thing, in film at least, you, as long as you're not, you know, stealing someone's stuff or copyright, it's like playing in a sandbox. Like the film that I made that has really kind of gotten us a lot of attention recently was a short film, and it's called Ghost Executioners. It's like Ghostbusters meets The Office. And so it's a mockumentary of this paranormal hunting team. Charlie's actually a bad guy in the film. John's actually one of the ghost executioners. His wife Ashley is another one. And it was a short film, like 12 minutes, and it did really well. So I technical direct for baseball, for minor league baseball. So MLB TV, MLIB TV, and that takes up a lot of my time. And but eventually I got some time, and I was like, a follow up with these characters would be fun before, you know, too much more time passes, and we just never do it. And that one has also had a nice run, but a lot of what that movie is us, like I said, playing in a sandbox. It's our own thing. So getting to like really meet people who specialize in different areas and saying like, can you make it, help me make it like look like this, or, if they have a certain property, hey, what would it take to be able to film out here? And it's just fun. It's creating. It's like John said with the whole Disney thing, it's world building.
Right, exactly. Miss Misery?
Well, I wear many hats, so when it comes down to it, meeting people, working on other people's sets, working with people, I learned that having everything to yourself is kind of a lot better. Let's take publishing, for instance. I was traditionally published, but what happens is you don't have say over a lot, like the cover of your book, the way they're going to promote it, how much they're going to pay you. So I decided to take matters into my own hands a few years ago, and I kind of sort of fired all my traditional publishers and took the rights back to my books, redid the covers, reformatted, learned how to do as much publishing as I could through YouTube videos and podcasts, and it's a lot of homework, but at the end, if it's all yours and no one else's, it is so worth it. For example, I'll tell you a quick example. When I had traditional publishers, every single year I was getting paid less than $100 for my books. That was it. As soon as I took my rights back, as soon as I got everything together and started republishing, redoing everything, my first year was $1,200. My second year was $2,000, and this year I'm about to hit $6,000 so far.
Wow, nice.
That's
Yes,
great.
thank you. So when you have the creative control for everything to do yourself, whether it be movies, writing, anything you want to achieve in life, I feel like it's always good to be your own boss, be your own person in it, make the decisions yourself, and it's so worth it at the end. So.
Dan?
Again, mine's different. Because I am a makeup artist, the back of my business card says, making your ideas a reality. So technically, none of it is my idea. So my freedom of creation is when I sit down and talk to somebody about what they want done, and I take what they have, and if it's something we can roll with, we roll with it. If it's something that I see like little things in there that won't work, I'll say, hey, maybe we could try this or do this. And usually 9 times out of 10 that works, and then I can kind of do it my way. But when it comes to like doing stuff for myself, it's usually when I'm home alone, when I got no projects or commissions going on, and I don't feel like watching TV or playing with the dogs. I'll grab my pens. I usually draw and paint more than I actually do makeup. A lot of my inspiration for makeup is when I used to work at haunted houses. I did probably about 10 or 11 years of haunted house makeup, and I loved it because I could go in there, I could do what I wanted to do, and I was getting paid to practice. When you go home and practice, it becomes very expensive very quick, and then you don't get to see the stuff come to life because you're busy washing it off as soon as you're done doing it.
Sure.
With the haunt, you get to see the actor go around and oh, okay, that's cool, So, but other than that, as far as freedom and stuff like that, if I'm drawing stuff for myself, it's I usually base all my work off of music.
Oh, cool.
Cool.
Awesome.
John?
Yeah, no, I have full creative freedom on my haunt. So I get to have full reign, change themes, design what I want, and create each character. I do let a lot of our actors kind of have some responsibility to like throw in some quirks for their character. If they want to add some stuff for their characters, costuming, props and whatnot. I let them do it because, it allows them to be creative. They're the ones that are in the room seeing people's reactions. So for them, it's easier to kind of come up with some like storyline and stuff like that. But otherwise, being creative is awesome. Building those worlds like we were talking about. Like I finally got to build at our last year, kind of created like a whole town. And so each attraction was like a portion of the town that you got to experience. And so to me, that was like kind of like a big point for me because it was like, this is like my town created. So
How many acres was that, John? Was that like
about 5 acres.
about 5 acres worth of haunt? Yeah.
That's cool.
With indie horror, there are really no restrictions except those that you put on yourselves. how do each of you decide how far to push the envelope? Because you could, now we were talking about, I was talking about a movie today with someone called the Siberian movie. Is anybody familiar with that? It really does push the envelope for horror. And that's an independent film. Okay, so you can go just about as far as you want to go in each one of your projects. And I know, Dan, even with you, in discussing somebody's plan for a makeup effect or something like that, you can decide how far you should take that idea. So how do you decide how far to push it? Are there some things that are off limits to you that you just said, okay, I'm going to do this. This is as far as I'm going to go for my projects. When in fact, you have no restrictions because you could extend that boundary. So what I want to know is, how do you set your own boundaries?
I mean, that's a good question. I guess part of it is like when it is necessary to the story. Like, are you throwing this in just for the sake of throwing it in, or, you know, in the case of the film we just made, does it make it funnier or does it add anything to it?
Mm-hmm.
As far as the post-production side of it, it's kind of the same thing. Like, how, you know, if you add this effect or, you know, this blood or whatever, like, is it helping it or is it detracting from it? Yeah, there's different things that you can do, like cover it up per se. If you're not happy with how it ended up looking and there's not a better option, you can try to mask it a little, but even that has its limitations. So basically it's about finding that sweet spot, I think.
Yeah. Miss Misery, I know you've actually written like a series of children's books, right?
I have, yes.
So does that limit your ability to go a little further?
Well, you know, I'm really into kids horror. I always have been. It's, you know, R.L. Stein's fault. And I do children's books to balance out the adult books that I do. I don't really limit myself. I just kind of write or direct to what I feel is right for the story. Like, for instance, I mean, I give myself rules in a way. I don't like going over the top too much. I'm not into hardcore gore. Doesn't mean I'm not going to give it a chance one day and maybe try it. But for now, where I'm at, that's like something I wouldn't do. Like, for instance, I wouldn't kill a child. You know, I mean, to me, there's a boundary, there's a limit. And I think the reason why I'm so into the kids' horror is because I feel like it's just safe. And I did recently, with my recent book, Slasher Girl, that's been out for a few years now, that I did write a very, I wrote a rape scene for it, and I pushed myself for it. I didn't know how far I was going to take it, but I really wanted that detailed description pertaining to her story of breaking her. So but I didn't limit it. I let it do its thing. You know, if it's in my head and it needs to come out and it feels right for the story, that's what I'm going to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's basically it.
Dan, would you have any limits if somebody came to you and they said, look, I want this effect, and it was something that you were uncomfortable doing,
I'm not
or
for
would
it,
you?
man. Anything that deals with pedophilia, I will not do, but other
Right.
than that, let's go.
Right.
I'm down. The gorier, the sicker, the twisted, I'm for it. Now, if it fits the film, sure, no problem. If it doesn't fit the film and they want something over the top, then I'll kind of rein it back in and say, okay,
Yeah.
well, why did we get to this point? How do we get to this point? And then if it makes sense, then I'll do it for the most part. It's just funny because, you know, like I said, I base all my artwork off of music and whatnot, and I do like the dark arts and stuff like that. And it's just funny when people tell me they've got this really scary, gory movie, and you read it and you're looking at it, and you're like, you know, is this a Judy Blume book? You know, where's the scary parts? You know, so. But Yeah, honestly, I pretty much will do anything as far as if they want it done and stuff like that. I mean, it's fun. I do like 80s gore. But I did learn a long time ago that being a makeup artist, the bloodier something is probably means the makeup underneath it's not that good, because they say the best way to hide your mistake is cover it in blood. So I took that to heart, and so when I do a lot of stuff, I try not to use as much blood. And then if the director comes in and goes, hey, man, shouldn't there be more blood? I mean, well, we could do more if you want, but
Sure.
this is what it looks like now, and if you want to put more blood on it, we can. But yeah, it's just one of those things. I'm not like, and I don't like washing blood off my hands because it stains.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
John, to me, it would seem like there's this fine line between really kind of torturing people in a haunted house and scaring, giving them just a good scare that they can enjoy and laugh about later. But there is like a line there, isn't there, for a haunt attraction?
Yeah, so there's something in the industry known as extreme haunts, and those are the ones that, they'll shave your head, shave your eyebrows, force feed you stuff to get you to throw up, and yeah, they
God.
kind of put you through the ringer. For me and my attractions, I like to, provide just something entertaining and fun that you're going to walk out of and just have a good time. I'm sure the whole point is to scare you and possibly have you run out screaming, but, we still want you to have a good time and hopefully come back the next year, because
Yeah.
if it scares you too much or scars you too much, then you may not come back.
I got a quick question for John.
Sure.
I know I'm not the guy.
No, you're fine.
Do you guys have a reward to see who can make somebody leave with soil in their pants?
So,
Inside haunt.
yes.
Something to
Trivia.
strive for.
I mean, yeah, it's partially the thing to try to scare people bad enough to where they just walk out. I've actually used to do that a lot when we had just a singular attraction. I was the guy probably in like the second room, and there was constantly people walking out after hitting my room, to the point to where actors in like 3 to 4 rooms down are like, hey, is there people coming? Like, what's going on? It's like, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm like, they keep leaving. So, I mean, yeah, it's definitely a goal to try to scare people that much to where they're leaving, but, again, in a fun way, not horribly torturing them.
What do you guys find are the most challenging aspects of trying to create your projects with limited budgets? Because the world of indie horror usually means that your budget isn't going to be as big as you want it to be, and you're going to have to face some limitations. So what are the most challenging aspects of that? How about with films, Jim?
I mean, you pretty much just answered the question within the question. It's finding the money to make the thing as close as what you've written, so, or as close as what you imagined in your head, I guess. So, finding that, and then knowing what you can do with what you do have, finding ways to get it as close to what
Right.
you do have. I've done things from like putting a piece of styrofoam, so we had a camera with like a styrofoam cube, and then we retrofitted it with cardboard and duct tape that wrapped around, and we hung that from a rear view mirror, and that gave us like the driver passenger 2-shot.
Was that the shitty movie that I was in,
That
Jim?
was in the shitty movie, yeah.
Because I remember being in that scene. Thank you.
So, yeah, I mean, you're not gonna have a ton of money, and you're not gonna have a huge amount of resources, but it's like Misery said, like, the networking comes to play, and that hopefully compensates for that, because the networking is how, I met John, and John brings all these tools to the table, and then a lot of our cast and crew also are the same way, and you get everybody to buy in, and then all of a sudden, your budget on paper may be, $2,500, $3,000, but when everyone is working together, it's like you have over 5, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so,
Right.
that is,
There are a lot of things that are like time that are being donated and
Right.
contributing. Misery, how about you?
Well, I work well under pressure, so coming up creatively with ways to do things on set, comes natural for me for some reason, and I think that's because of watching a lot of behind the scenes for movies. And, you know, when I was younger, I picked up 2 books. I picked up Rebel Without a Crew, Robert Rodriguez, and I picked up The Evil Dead Companion. And I learned a lot from that. And when you're on set or you're doing you're filmmaking, you're doing that, it's now or never. You're on a time constraint. You only have a place for so long. Your budget's like, every single movie I think I've done is a budget of $5,000, that's it. And once that's gone, that's gone.
Yeah.
You know, you don't, you don't have friends to call for anything, so, you got your friends there. And I think when it comes down to it, it's like he said, you get whatever's around you, and you figure it out, and you make it work. And you know what? Most of the time it works, right?
Yeah.
It works
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
And I think that's the brilliancy of doing indie films, and I think that's what movie magic is all about, to be honest. It's so much fun. Once you go through it, you'd see for yourself that it's just all about creatively making a dream come true.
Along those lines then, Dan, if somebody comes to you and they want their dream to come true, and you have limited funds to do it, what kind of resources do you rely on?
So I've got a few ways of doing it, kind of like Miss Misery here. I do relish taking something that I need to create or make and not have the money or the budget to do it. What do I have from past projects? What can I use that's similar to whatever it is that they want done? Can I use a real subject of something and just doctor that up, kind of a thing? That kind of stuff. In fact, I can give you a small story. I did a movie. It was for a Marcus Allen film, and I was actually an assistant. I wasn't the lead makeup artist on this one. And Marcus comes up to me and goes, "Hey, we need to put a sewing needle, like a knitted needle or whatever, crochet needle, in this woman's eye." I'm like, "Okay." And I'm thinking to myself in my head, okay, I can probably get that done in a day or 2, right? Go home after this shoot, whatnot. And I said, "What day are you shooting?" And he's, "Oh, we're shooting in 30 minutes. You know, I'm like, "Oh."
Whoa.
And then he gives me the sewing needle, and this is the one we're going to use. And this sewing needle, man, looks like a railroad spike. Okay, so now I'm like, "You want this in the eye?" And they're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "All right." So I probably stood there for probably 5 minutes, going through my head how to make this thing work. What do I have in my kit? What do I have here? So I got one of the PA people to cut it because it was metal. They had like a saw or something. So they ground that down for me. So what I ended up doing, I took a bunch of cotton that I had and dipped it in latex and put it around the lady's eye and kind of fashioned kind of like freestanding kind of a thing.
Oh, wow.
And then here's where the blood trick comes in. Just covered with blood. And I told Marcus, I said, "Hey, if we angle it from here, it'll look like it's actually sticking out of the eye." And it did. It came out nice for what it was. But yeah, so you just never know, man. Sometimes I would like the luxury of being able to build a prosthetic for you to make it look real, but sometimes it's not a thing.
Yeah.
John, this seems like it would be a real issue for you because you're kind of, it's almost like you're creating this whole production, like this, almost like a film set, you know, with all this stuff going on. And you've got all these moving pieces, and all of them require some budgetary concerns. So how do you handle it?
So yeah, I mean, I'm my harshest critic, first off. I have these like scenes and rooms built up in my mind how I want them to be, and then as it's time to work on them, it's like, crap, I can't afford to buy this type of paneling that I want to put on the walls, so I'm just going to paint it to look this way. And so, you know, it's just pulling out different tricks that you learn throughout the years of doing it to kind of get you through some of these spots. And then, fortunately for haunts, dumpster diving helps a lot too. Picking up stuff off the side of the road. You know, people are getting rid of stuff all the time. You can find like dressers, couches, stuff like that just sitting there that you can grab. So thankfully, you know, those are freebies. But then we eventually hit a mantra when it's like a week or 2 before opening night where it's going to be dark in here. So it's like we can hide some stuff with lighting. People are literally going to be in this scene for like 2 seconds. You know, they're not going to be like me staring at it, you know, for hours figuring out how it's going to work. Like they're going to see it like that and then they're done with it.
Yeah.
So, you know, you have those things that'll help you. But yeah, I mean, it'd be great to have a huge budget and do what I would love to do, but we make it work and people love it, so.
Well, my next question deals with your inspirations. What I'd like to know is who are the independent horror, or what are the independent horror creations, or who are the creators that have had the biggest impact on your own work and why? Jim?
Mine is weird because the ones that have inspired me to do it are not the ones that I would say the work is inspired by.
Mm.
So, like the ones that inspire me, especially to in horror, are like your Hitchcocks and your Carpenters, your Cravens, your Clive Barkers, like all
Right.
the greats since, have been alive, and even appreciation for, the Universal monsters and, Hammer
Yeah.
horror, stuff like that. My work, that's working for me right now is more towards the comedic side of things. So when I say it's based on The Office and Ghostbusters, the homages in my stuff is more to the nerd generation, the Ghostbusters and the Beetlejuices and, the Bill Murrays and, the Chris Farleys and that kind of stuff.
Sure, sure.
Like he said, I mean, growing up, the first horror film I ever really saw that got me hooked was John Carpenter's Halloween. So John Carpenter, Wes Craven, Hitchcock, yeah, we're talking about, to me, really great directors, Rodriguez, Tarantino too. And but real quick, you're probably not gonna believe what I'm about to say, but so I had a really mean ex-boyfriend once, and as a joke, when I started doing these short films, he bought me the Ed Wood box set, and he would call me Ed Wood, and I had no idea who Ed Wood was. So I watched the movies, I did my research, and you know what? I dug him because he did it. He didn't care, and it's like, what? It was supposed to be a joke, but to me, I took it so seriously because I was like, wow, anyone can do this. I can do this. I know I can do this. But I would have to say Ed Wood was an influence for me. You wouldn't believe it, but yeah. So I would have to say, like he said, it's inspiration you get all around you. It's not just one person, one director, one writer, it's everyone around you. It's your family, it's your friends, it's the movie you watch, it's the actor that you meet at a con like Sinister or watch, Inspiration just comes from all around for me. So I can name like 1,000 inspirational people, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Can I just say Misery wrote a book and I kill people in it? It's based on a panel director. Like,
it's called Nightmare Con, and I sold out of it today, by the way.
Oh, wow.
I sold out. I'm not kidding.
That's great.
I sold out of 20 copies.
That's great.
Yeah.
And may I also say, Jim, that I am a featured character in a good book, not a terrible actor in a shitty movie, just to make a point. Dan, how about you?
I'm going to piggyback off Miss Misery. She's right. Everywhere you look, there's inspiration. When it comes to makeup, one of the reasons why I enjoy coming here is I get to see other makeup artists, and they're all different levels of experience and talent as well. And I also like watching the cosplayers. I used to make fun of cosplayers. I'm not going to lie. I was that guy. Yes,
No,
I
I'm
was.
just kidding.
What are you doing, man? Well, I'm wearing my football jerseys. You figured that one out. But anyway, yeah. But then when I got into makeup and getting more creative and stuff, it's really neat to watch a lot of these people in their cosplay costumes. Not the ones that are boughten, but the ones, there's like, for instance, there's a guy who comes here, I haven't seen him in a while, but he's like a predator, and it's all duct tape. I mean, come on, man. Who thought about that? And then when you start doing research work, the very first aliens were hefty trash bags. You don't know that. They don't look like trash bags in the movie, but they're like. Then when you see them in real life, you're like, that looked like a wow, So it's just amazing on how when you see things and how you can manipulate things, look like other stuff. And I do like taking things from other people and figuring out how they do it, and then I'll try to make it mine. you know what I mean? Kind of put my spin on it, so that way it doesn't come across as plagiarism or something. You know, it's just, you learn off of everybody too.
Yeah, yeah. John, I think you've almost kind of answered this question, but what were your inspirations or creators or events that set you on your path?
So yeah, definitely Halloween Horror Nights, Not Scary Farm. One of the creative directors of Halloween Horror Nights, John Murdy. Longtime idol of him. Got to meet him quite a few times, talk to him. You know, he would remember me, so that was pretty cool. And then John Cook with Knott's. You know, he's created some of the best haunted attractions I've gone through at their like location. So like again, that was like I want to be at that level. Like that's super cool. But otherwise, music is a big inspiration, similar to you. And it's funny, I'll kind of have like an idea for a theme, and then I'll just make up a playlist of music that kind of like goes with that theme, and I'll just kind of get lost in it for a bit as I'm creating the rooms or like the storyline for that attraction and how you're going to go through it. So yeah, no, it's probably weird to hear somebody talking about like a physical haunted attraction and how music is a big inspiration for that, when to me that's what fuels a lot of the room, the energy in the room, like how I want it to go and everything. So yeah.
Great. All right, I'm going to open it up for questions. Do we have any questions from the audience? Yes.
Aside from like purchasing tickets or purchasing content, what are some good ways for people to support independent artists?
Excellent question.
I would say the best way would be, you know, when you see something that you like from one, if they have something available, a book or an event, or you see that, you know, they're on a project and they're doing makeup for a movie, when that, you know, becomes available to purchase it. Independent, you know, for me, if I'm selling copies of a movie that I did, all the money that I make off of that goes into the next one. So that's what I would say the easiest way to support is.
You mean like if you aren't going to purchase it yourself? Like
Maybe you have purchased it, but
we want to have,
more.
we want to support more? Well, there's a lot of things you can do, like online promoting it. Like, hey, I just bought this book, I read it, or I just saw this movie and it was pretty cool, you know, things like that. You don't even have to, if you don't want to do video, you could always just take a picture and hashtag and stuff, you know, that always helps. But yeah, just promotions, I think, is a really good thing. Talking about it, word of mouth's always good too.
That's mine, super easy. Share my shit if you like it, please.
Yeah, no, for sure. Social media, you know, it's so vast now that just sending a picture, talking about it goes a long way. For me as a haunt, you know, things that help us is just people willing to do stuff for us, because, I mean, we put on a lot. So, I mean, most of our scares are volunteers, and even the build part's all volunteer work. So, you know, if you want to come out and, like, help out, that's huge for us in the haunt industry, for sure.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
I know that budgets always limit this, but if you were to like create a project in like a style or like a format that you wouldn't like traditionally do because of like budget, you like want to take a risk to try it out, what would that be?
I actually have an idea that I wrote. I've never told anybody that I've written this, but I've written like a 4 or 5 episode thing that deals with like magic and Jedi being real. And it's basically like you have 2 dark wizards and then 2 Jedi Padawan figure. Then they don't say like straight up, I'm a Jedi, I'm a Padawan type thing, but it's like a film noir detective thing, right? So it's underground, that like magic and powers and all this shit. There's like a whole community that it's like underground, but it's well known within this underground culture type of a thing. And the characters are pretty developed, and it's just like, if I ever get like millions of dollars, I would like to try to do something like that.
Okay, so you're gonna think I'm weird, but that's okay. So if I had the money and the resources and the connections, there is a finished script to Mr. Boogedy. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie, Mr.
Oh,
Boogedy.
shit.
I
Oh,
wrote the
shit,
third
Mr.
movie.
Boogedy.
I wrote the third script.
Oh, my
I
God.
wrote it. There was never. Man,
You've
that would be
touched
so
a
bad.
nerve.
Have you ever listened to any of our Mr. Boogedy podcasts?
No, I have to. I've
Oh
heard
my
of them.
God, dude.
I just wrote to the director, and he wrote me back within 5 minutes to say,
Oh, we
there
need to
should have
do-
been a third movie. That's cool. And I was like, oh my God, he wrote me back.
Bro, we
But-
need to do a Miss Misery director of Boogedy podcast.
But yeah, I mean, that would be really cool. So, yeah, you know.
Mr. Boogedy.
Yeah.
Do you guys know what Mr. Boogedy is? Mr. Boogedy, yeah, he's pissed that he knows too. Mr. Boogedy was a Disney Channel, like ABC, tune in and listen to Michael Eisner introduce Boogedy Man. But what Mr. Boogedy is a pilgrim. And so he just kind of does pilgrimy shit, but he looks like a boogeyman. And then they
Yeah.
came out and they did Bride of Boogedy,
The
which
sequel.
so he had a pilgrim wife,
Yeah.
but there was like he was trying to turn a modern girl into his wife or something.
Yeah, he haunted the house that the family moved into, and he wouldn't let Marion, the girl he was in love with, and her son go. Their spirits leave,
Yeah,
so the family had to help.
crazy ass pilgrim, Mr. Boogedy.
So
If I had unlimited funds, that'd be nice. No, man, I've got a bunch of little mini musicals in my head. You know, super grotesque, super off the wall. They would all have a story. Yeah, just that kind of stuff, man. Just my version of it, you know?
Yeah.
wow, that's cool. If I ever win the lottery,
Yeah.
that'd be cool.
For me, it's very vast. I actually have like fully designed a full like theme park, like down to like everything. So having an unlimited budget, I'd pretty much go forward with that and create all those attractions, dark rides, and everything that I have planned out.
And those are the minds of independent horror, ladies and gentlemen. And the creation, this is where the innovation and the trends for mainstream horror generate. So on behalf of everybody here, I'd like to thank everybody who attended Sinister Creature Con this year for your support of independent horror. And let's thank our panelists, our great group of panelists today. Thank you, guys.